if you pursue or engage in, protracted, intense cycles of weight training, when it comes to decades of commitment, there's consequences. There's consequences for everything that you do on the face of this earth. From consequences involving what you eat, consequences involving decisions you make every day, and sometimes those consequences are good things and sometimes they're bad things. When it comes to weight training, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it, the whole purpose of exercise, regardless, I think, of whether or not it facilitates your pursuit of any kind of competitive endeavor, athletic endeavor outside of the realm of competitive bodybuilding. I think that most people would say that not only they do it, to help themselves feel better, but also to help themselves look better. And I've said time and time again in my videos that my focus has always been about appearance. It's always about appearance. So my lifting is about appearance. It's not necessarily about strength. It's not about speed. It's not about anything specific other than the issue of, the shape of my body, the appearance of my, the quality of my muscle mass, the percentage of my body fat. And trying to develop those sort of things, above and beyond what would be considered average requires above and beyond commitment and discipline and and effort. So what I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I've been lifting for well over 30 years. Well over 30 years, in periods, I've had phases where I trained 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. When I was in my 20s, I could spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym and leave and be able to come back the next day, do the same thing all over again. And inevitably started to develop muscle, started to grow, started to learn how my body responded to different stimulators. Weight training being the primary focus, the primary aspect of my entire fitness pursuit. So, but after, really after 20 years, or putting it more specifically or succinctly, once I hit 40, it doesn't really matter. It does, but it doesn't. You're not going to influence the effects of age. I mean, you can mitigate them. You can, in some ways, slow down the process in some respects by just maintaining a level of fitness that many other people might not do because they don't exercise and they're not really personally concerned with their overall fitness or their appearance. But if you do it intensely, if you do it with purpose, and you don't pay attention to what you're doing. And by that I mean, it's more about your ego, or it's more about what you look like to other people in the gym and not what you look like to yourself in the mirror, which to me is the only thing that really matters. If I look in the mirror and I like what I see, then I'm doing something right, and I'm happy with that. If someone else disagrees, who cares? I don't. If there's one thing that you can count on in this diverse world, it is diverse tastes, diverse preferences, diverse approaches, diverse attitudes, and those don't always necessarily mesh with your own. And that's perfectly okay, because I'm not out to necessarily, get the positive feedback or get any feedback from anyone. I make these videos because I've done this a long time, and I feel like I've learned quite a bit in the process. And if there are other people out there who have similar goals in mind, then, you know, I really just thought that by making these videos, I could help other people avoid the costly mistakes that I've made over the years to get where I'm at now. So if there's a purpose in these videos, it is to instruct, to teach. You know, that's all I want to do. Pass on knowledge. I mean, you know, it takes a long time. It took a long time. It took a lot of effort, and you know, in the process, numerous injuries to finally realize, to some extent, what the right way is and what's the wrong way. You know, what's the good path and what's the bad path. So in making these videos, I'm trying to help people find the right path, you know, and avoid the costly mistakes. You know, one of them being having torn my pec tendon off my humerus. You know, done working with ridiculously heavy weight in a really awkward position. It was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done. But lesson learned, you know. So anyway, like I said, I took 6 months off. I have honestly not been in this gym working out until last week. I had my first couple workouts last week, and today was my third in 6 months. You know, I'm hoping to ease back in, and for anybody who, like me, has taken that much time off and is used to doing weightlifting as your primary source of exercise, go slow, you know. Relatively low weight, high rep stuff. I've been doing basically full body type circuits to kind of get my whole system, you know, back up and running. And since I'm doing, you know, full body, I don't necessarily need to work out every day of the week. I don't do that anymore anyway. Don't you know, for anybody who's crossed the 40 barrier and is not using pharmaceutical drugs to enhance their physiques and stuff, you know that overdoing it is as bad as not doing anything at all. So, you know, if you're pushing too hard, you're probably going backwards. If you're not pushing hard enough at all, then you're not doing anything. But you know, pay attention. It isn't about what other people see. It's about what you see. It isn't about what you think other people think you should be doing. It's about what you know you should be doing. So, if there's one thing about the human body that you can count on, is that it's an incredibly unique machine that adapts incredibly well. So, you know, if you provide the sort of stimulus that it needs to do what you want it to do, that's what you get. So take it easy and slow and work smarter, you know, as the cliche goes, work smarter, not harder. Although, you know, working hard is part of it, but the, you know, what I'm trying to say is there's a line that can be crossed that, you know, long term is going to create more difficulties than it resolves. So like I said, be open to other ideas, you know, pay attention to other people's methods. If you like what you see in someone, you like, you know, what it appears that they've done, then you probably ought to listen to them if that's where you want to go. So, you know, there's been numerous people in my path along the way that have taught me a number of things that I've tried to retain, most of which I have, and they're all part of the process that makes this picture whole. So, anyway, you know, I hope to be back making some more training videos sometime soon. I just wanted to, you know, sort of touch on what has been going on over the last 6 months, which is really essentially nothing as far as training is concerned. But it was time. It was time. You know, it happens. You reach a period where you've overextended yourself. You know, you're sore all the time. You might even be experiencing some significant joint pain, you know, muscle strain, that type of thing. You know, that's time to listen. Your body's saying, you know, we're going too hard. Time to cut it off. So, anyway, talk to you guys later.